Yeah, on these women, because society doesn't embrace them and try to reach out to them. And we'll probably, I would say, and I'm just being honest, we would probably forgive a man a lot quicker than a female in regards to drug addiction and getting their life back on track. So I'm glad that you did open this ministry, and I'm glad a lot of people are hopefully getting some good insight. So, obviously we're going to talk a little bit about, after we take this break, about other things, initiatives y'all doing in the ministry to maybe help some young ladies in the community, and hopefully that will give them some good insight. So we're going to take a break and we'll be right back. We're back with more Douglas on My Mind, and once again I have Joanne Lewis. She's here in a different capacity other than EDA Director and Chair President. She's here as for Still Waters Ministry, and they're doing a great job. Only operated since December. They're up and running for about a quarter now, so a lot of great work happening, a lot of people being hopefully blessed and receiving some sense of recovery, and hopefully can be restored back. And we were talking about at the break some things, kind of look little deep in the weed things that y'all are doing out there, and some stories that maybe you can share in regards to some people getting some enlightenment, some insight on their life. So you want to share a little bit about
Yeah, Terrell, it's really great. I work my real job, and usually when I get a break, whatever time I get through work, I'll say, well, I'm going to go home and do nothing and rest. And I find myself drawn to pull in Still Waters and see what's happened the day. And I tell myself I'm going by to be encouragement and to be uplifting for the girls, and every time I leave, I'm the one that's blessed.
Yeah.
And we have seen just so many great things come out of the program. I want to go back to one thing where I tell you some of the blessings have come about. I mentioned to you my own family, my own children have struggled with drugs, and it's a vicious cycle. And you said that women are not forgiven as easy, and I think that's true because they're mothers, and people say, as a mother, how can you leave your children for drugs? And I was checking my son into treatment one day, and a physician was there, and I'm a blubbering mother thinking I'd failed and was terrible, and this physician looked at me and he said, Miss Lewis, did you look in the mirror this morning? And I said, yes, sir. He said, you do realize you're fat, don't you? And I said, I certainly do. And he said, I don't want you to ever forget what your child is going through to stop using drugs is 1,000 times harder than you trying to lose 5 pounds. And don't you ever forget that. And I never have, Terrell. And I've seen it in so many families where the mother loves their children, but have been drawn away by that drug addiction. But with that said, we're seeing families restored. I was real passionate about this facility being a Christian-based ministry, because I have also watched so many great programs where a lot of people find success. But with my own family, the facilities they went through and the programs they participated in that was not Christian-based, it always seemed to fail. But once they reached God's teaching as part of recovery, success came. So that was very important to me. And I've seen girls in our facility that have been in numerous other centers, and they come to us, and all of a sudden something's different. And when you see them on their knees praying, and you see them at devotional sharing and crying about what God is doing to them, it's amazing. This coming week, we will have, I was counting, I said 5 people would be baptized. It's actually 6. We have 3 women who are part of our program, but the most exciting thing, we always allow the immediate family members of these girls to attend church with us. And we visit different churches in the community, and it's primarily the churches that reach out and help support us. And through these church services and by families being able to come and join in, a family that was totally disconnected, a father and 2 children and a mother that was totally disconnected, have given their life to Christ. So when the program is complete, we've got a marriage, a rebirth of the family coming together.
Right.
So this coming Sunday, we will have 3 of the women in the program baptized, plus one of them's 2 children and the children's father will be baptized. We've seen a family come back together, and to me, that's the greatest blessing there could be.
That is.
So not only seeing the life restored, but when I truly feel when you restore the life of a woman, a mother, you give hope to the children.
You do.
And that is so important. We have seen people re-enter the workplace and just get outstanding accolades from their employers about how dedicated they are. And these are women who haven't held jobs because they couldn't wake up in the morning, or they didn't show up for work, or using that drug was more important than making an honest dollar. And now we see them so excited about what happens at work and if they get a promotion and how great it is. So we're seeing families restored, and it's truly God's work. And I have to say, none of this, and this is not a religious nor a political program, but in the very beginning of this program, it was not women who stepped up to get it ready, it was men. And those men were provided by the Coffee County Sheriff's Department. Sheriff Doyle Wooten is very compassionate about this project. In fact, when he was running for office, he actually mentioned that he wanted to see something for women and drug addiction here. But the inmates at the Coffee County Jail, that team came out and did a marvelous job. And just this past week, we had a community sunrise service out at Stillwaters by the pond. And one of the gentlemen that came is out of jail now, working, got a great job. And he came just to see the results of his hands of labor while he was serving a few weeks in jail in Coffee County. And he was amazed not only at the facility and how it's working, but amazed at the spirit of the women that are living there.
Well, obviously, you know, we sometimes don't think how impactful throughout the whole family, and bringing a family together, restoring them is the most critical thing. And that woman in that family is such the dynamic.
That's right.
I would say, you know, the instrument in the whole.
I'm glad you're admitting that.
Oh yeah, I got
Angie's got you trained.
She got me trained. You hear that, Miss Jacobs? She got me trained. But it's such an integral part because you know the children and the cohesiveness of that family between the children, the father, and the mother. All, I hate to say it, rests upon some of that female. And having that female in play is such a critical aspect. And I'm glad that not only the women are being made whole, but also the families are getting back together and being restored, because that's such a critical thing.
It is a big part of it.
Yeah, and you know, not to preach here, but for a few minutes from me, back a long time ago, there was this pastor, you know, what the church you used to go to, and I never thought about it in this perspective. He said, well, you know, the spiritual, the negative spirits, the devil or the demonic spirits try to breed themselves or get through the male, which is the seed of the family, you know.
Right.
But intuitively, that's just one direction. But if he can also get that female, which keeps that cohesiveness, she's the nurturer, she's the one that keeps it all together. If he can get that as well, that also helps destroy the family.
That's right.
So I'm glad that y'all are doing this, because, you know, one of the critical things, I don't know if you're familiar with the Magnolia House, but
yes, great
program as well. We is actually not here in Coffee County, it's actually in Waycross. But the majority of the females that they get in this 4 or 5 county area that they serve come from Coffee County. And a lot of times they are coming with drug-related problems and battered and so forth and
Right.
so on. So obviously this has another opportunity to help
It
and
is.
be another transitional place for people to get restored and back on their feet, because there's such a need in this community for that, and hopefully it's for some surrounding places as well. So talk a little bit about, I know you said that the sheriff department helped, and I know you had a lot of other helping hands in this,
We did.
churches and other people that got involved, and it just seems like you were very quiet. I remember when all this was going on and around just before the holidays. Matter of fact, Danny, your husband, when did he pass along?
He actually passed away a year ago in January.
That's
A
right.
year ago in January. But he planted the seed. That Christmas before, he actually, on that Christmas Eve, he died on January 2nd. But on that Christmas Eve, he said to me he wished he could go back and give me a Christmas gift.
Mm-hmm.
And
I didn't want to make you cry, but I know you told me.
no,
a
but
little bit.
he told me he wished he had tried a lot harder to understand drug addiction instead of thinking it's just a trait of not caring or. And he had seen the turmoil that it does put families through, and especially a mother's heart when their kids are struggling. And so anyway, in his own way, he planted a huge seed for this. And then so many people came forward. I mean, we had a house that was a hull of a building. Businesses stepped in. They adopted rooms. I mean, they didn't just come in and say, I'll give you a bed. They said, I'll buy the beds, the mattresses, the linens, the curtains, the sheets, the towels, everything a woman would need, complete with shampoo and everything, toothpaste, toothbrushes. And we had every single bedroom furnished that way. And never ask a soul, Terrell. Never once ask for that help. I just hope to get some remnants out of an attic and open one room at the time. And then the back house, we hoped we were going to put more women in it. And when the inmates were out there working, of course, I was just telling about how this crazy thing, God was leading me to do this crazy thing on faith, and I've never stepped out on this much faith. And they actually are the ones that said, Miss Joanne, if it's all about God's work, you got to turn part of this into a chapel. And it wasn't but a few weeks after that, we had a group of ministers come up. And I mentioned it to them, and that very day they were out there, the minister from the Broxton Church of God said, we've got a piano and we've got a pulpit. And other churches started coming in.
Wow.
Lawn Hill said, we've got pews, we've got kneeling benches. And I mean, before we even had sheetrock on the walls, we had a chapel furnished.
Wow.
And every day we have devotional, and every day we have Bible study
That's
in that
great.
chapel.
That's
and we
great.
welcome people from other churches to come in and hold services with us. So
Well,
it's great.
Well, one of the things that's unique about this, as you were talking, I think this is a great testimony of how you step out on faith. And, so once again, when we started this conversation, sometimes we don't want to listen. We don't want to.
I fought it. I'm telling you, I didn't want to listen at all.
and intuitively, that is our, I guess our fleshly desire not to listen to something that we intuitively think
It
is
doesn't
just
make
crazy.
sense.
It's
It doesn't
crazy.
make sense.
And I think this is a great testimony to that end, that all the things that you were fighting against, all the things that you didn't want to happen, have just happened, and happened so wonderfully,
Yeah.
and are blessing people abundantly. And now, obviously you're probably thinking like this, well, what if I wouldn't have did this now?
I know.
And that's the crazy thing about
It
us.
is.
We sometimes just can't see past
We can't.
the flesh and what we can touch, feel, and understand. And obviously he has to get us past that. So
Well, Terrell, when I came in, before we started filming the show, we mentioned budgets, our business budgets,
Yeah,
how
exactly.
we operate. And I was just sitting here thinking about faith. It costs about $5,000 a month to keep the door opens out there.
Wow.
That's how much it costs. Insurance on vehicles to transfer them to work and to programs, and taxes and insurance and, you know, somebody to manage it and utility bills and feeding
Yeah.
15 women 3 times a day. If you just figure $6.50